Alrighty, so I just thought that I would show you a couple of tips and tricks that I know in Compass that I've learnt over the past 18 months or so. This one's a really cool trick. It's about totaling up marks that you have put into a learning task. So I'm going to show you the example of what that looks like. So if I go to school resources, and you can see that our school resources are very well labelled for our faculties, and inside our TAS faculty we have everything neat and tidy, where each of us has a section where we can put our resources. So I'm going to show you my Year 12 IPT resources. I have an assessment task here that is a project, and inside this one here, the students have to submit a series of tasks, and they have to be marked. So they're given the rubric on each of these on how they can acquire the marks that are allocated. And what I've done is I've added components in here, which is just a number. And when I added the number, I then edit that number. Instead of it saying number, it actually explains what that is. So, for example, you click on this button and you type in there what the task is, what an explanation is. You can leave the column heading blank, and then you choose a minimum number. So I choose 0. Obviously, it's pretty rare that a student will get 0, but they may not submit or whatever for whatever reason. But then the maximum number is whatever. So we have a brief explanation of a part of the assessment task, which is worth 5, and so then you can crank that up to whatever you need. So that's 1 there. So you accept that, and then you can go along and you can add in all the ones that you want. I've also put in a open comment so I can write a comment to them. And you can see that I've got 7 tasks, each of them with various marks of what they're worth. So, for example, this one's worth 15. Understanding the problem is worth 20, and there's a rubric on how to achieve those marks. Then if you have a look over here, you have one in the green section called addition. Now, the addition one, what you can do with that one is you can add up all those marks and get a final result. The way that you do it is you add this one in, and then you go over here to the edit button, and it comes up with this, but what it already has defaulted to is a percentage. And the percentage is like a weighting of a mark. So what you would do is you would put in a result, and then you would get a percentage mark from that. Now, there would be more about that later when we become a lot stronger at using Compass and its marking guides, and also its percentages. At the moment, currently, our leaders of learning have control over this, and I'm quite happy for that to happen, because percentage marks we need to work out, and this is something later on in the future we can play around with. But if you choose none for both the weighting and the scaling, you can then put in for that the components. Now, normally what happens is when you go, if you follow this video, yours will be like all this. It'll be all these are checked off. Now, if you include them, it will then choose. Now, see, these are the ones that I've already put into this assessment: task 1, task 2, all the way down to task 7. These ones are from other learning tasks that I've created, and it can actually you can include those if you want to. But just for this one, I am putting in these ones as that. When I hit update, I'll go back and I'll just explain. It does have some rules in it as well, which you can have a quick read through those if you want to understand it. But really, the real most confusing part for most people is that changing the settings to none and then adding the components in there, which are these ticks. These are the ones that I want added up, and then I just simply choose update. Now, what then happens is, obviously, if I choose OK, and I then go into if I then go into this one here, I would then push that out to my class, and then I would mark it. Now, the way that I would do that is, of course, I would mark each of these and give them a mark, and then my final result would be calculated on this one at the bottom. I did find a few little things like it wasn't calculating properly, and I found that I had to right click on it and choose allow the bulk calculations to happen. So just make sure that if it doesn't work, if there's a little error on it, just right click on it and just see what your options are, just to see whether or not. I mean, like I always say to students, what's the worst thing that you can do? Trial and error is one way in which people learn how to use computers. It's not how you would learn how to drive a car, because, whoops, I crashed. I didn't want to do that. But with computers, what's the worst thing you can do? You can not save it, or you can cancel it, or you can start again, or you can turn the computer off and on. It is worth having. I will show you that what I normally do is this would be my allocation of marks, and then I would use a spreadsheet to use the formulas to add all this up, which is the similar thing. This is that actual result, and it is a double sort of checking, almost like a parallel conversion method of double standards or doubling up what we're doing. But maybe when in the future, when we all become really highly skilled at using Compass, which won't be very far off, because we're all using it, this is one method that may really help everyone. I hope this helps.